Today I thought I would do a video that is going to start this series that is going to showcase some of the vehicles that I currently own that I thought folks might have some interest in, and maybe do a little bit of a drive. So here is car number one, car that I've had has probably been with me the longest, since 1979, and that is a 55 Chevy Belair. This is the two-door hardtop version, and the way you can tell a hardtop is there is no door frame that is at the back. I'm going to take a little closer look over here. There is no steel frame that is here. This is all glass, so when you put all the windows down, this whole space is open. So that is what constitutes a hardtop as opposed to a sedan. This car currently is two-tone blue. This is not an original color. My father bought this again in 1979. It had been a drag car at the US 30 drag strip in York, Pennsylvania. The person who my father bought it from, his name is Ed Gallagher. He bought the car and drag raced it in 75 up until 1979. I think it bought the car originally from the state of Maryland. And in fact, I'll have to see if I can dig up some of the pictures that I got from Ed of the car during the build. It had a 396 big block Chevrolet engine in it that came out of a, I think it was a 67 Chevelle. It had, I think it was a 400 turbo transmission in it. Bucket seats from the Chevelle with the console. He had converted the front end to disc brakes. I think that came from a Caprice, about a 69, I think it might have been, 68, 69 Chevy Caprice. And I think he said the car was doing about 13s in the quarter back in the day. So not too shabby for what it was. I mean, a lot of weight to it. But the paint that's on here, let's see, this was repainted in 2000, and it is a base coat, clear coat, and the colors were from Chevrolet trucks, I believe it was, from about 85. And unfortunately, I don't remember the names of the colors. It should be wet sanded and buffed to get a little bit smoother. It does have a little bit of orange peel on it. I painted this car for my father back in the day. After I did it, I wanted to wet sand it and buff it, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He loved the shine on it, didn't want me to change a thing. Dad, when he bought this in 79, he took 2 years to restore the car, went through 3 different parts cars. He put steel fenders on it. It had fiberglass fenders on it from being drag raced. He switched the wheels. I'm trying to think what he originally had. I think he had chrome reversed wheels on it. And then later he went to an aftermarket wheel. Actually, that's when I started driving the car in 1984. I put gold nugget wheels on it from American Racing. So it was very, very 80s looking. I inherited the car back in, I think, about 2013. And at that time, I put original steel 15-inch rims and Coker tires on it. And I loved the look for a while, and then it kind of faded on me. I kind of lost the interest in that side of it. And so what it's wearing here today is what it wore when it was drag racing, which is aluminum slots. They were Fentons originally. These wheels are not Fenton, but I had my nephew make me some decals that look a lot like the original Fenton logo, so at least has the look. The tires on it are 15-inch radials, so the car runs a lot better with a radial tire and a little bit more width than the original style Coker tires. When I inherited the car, my father had bumper guards or bumperettes. So they're large chrome pieces that would fit up and around here. He had those front and rear. Back in the 80s, I liked the look. Today, not so much. So I've removed those, and I only left the one grill bar in it. So when I get around to the front, I'll show you that. One of the other modifications I made after inheriting the car was changing out the taillights. These are reproductions of, I think it's 55 Buick. So yes, I have no reverse lights. So there it is. The exhaust tips, my father had those on there, and I still like them, so they're going to stay for now. I'm not wild about the dual exhaust system that he had on here, so I'm going to eventually redo that. He also has glass pack mufflers on here, which are still there. I'm eventually going to get rid of those. I'm not too much into the sound. One of the other things you may have noticed is the decal on the back window. My father, I found out at his funeral, he was a part of a gang in the 50s, Bullfrog Alley Gang. So that's a little tribute to my father on that. Again, this is a former US 30 drag car. The decal was put on there a few years ago by Ed Gallagher, who used to drag race the car, so I thought it was fitting that he had one sticker left, and I had him put it on the car. The car, unfortunately, is a little dusty and dirty, so I apologize. It's not in its pristine condition as it should be. It's been sitting in the shop as I've been working on other projects, so it's been getting dusty. That is the crossbar that I was talking about earlier. That's the only part that I've left on. Show you under the hood. Now, when Dad restored it, he put a 265 V8 3-speed on the column in it. And then when he retired in 2000, the motor was also getting tired, so he switched it over to what's currently in the car, which is a 400 small block with a 4-speed Saginaw behind it. It's running an Edelbrock 4-barrel carburetor, and that's a reproduction Caddy air cleaner, which I had to heavily modify the base in order for it to fit in there and not rub against the windshield wiper motor. It has some aftermarket valve covers that have a little bit more of a period look. It is a modern battery there, and my nephew again made me a decal to put on there, so has at least a little bit more of a look to it. Have a woof whistle in here. Unfortunately, right now it's not working. I'll have to get that up and running again someday. The shroud, my father put that on. I think it came off of a Ford Taurus that he modified that. And of course, these cars originally didn't have an overflow bottle, but I don't like antifreeze running down the road, so I have an overflow bottle off of I think it was a Chrysler Sebring that I pulled that from. So that's under hood. Let's take a look on the inside, and then we'll take it for a drive. Inside, pretty basic. Though this is the Belair style. This car originally would have left the factory as red and the shoreline beige. Again, it was converted over to two-tone blue. My father liked that, so he continued to keep that. When he had the interior redone in around 2000, no, actually I think it was in the 80s, now that I think about it. I think it was late 80s he had the interior redone. He had a local shop make this pattern in this blue vinyl, and this is original seats that are in here, but again, he had coverings done in the shape and the color that he wanted. So originally this car would have had a red and white interior. The lower ends would have been cloth. So original style steering wheel. I painted that back in the 80s when I used to work at a dealership. I remember on my lunch break I took the steering wheel off and took it in and sanded it, painted it, and then put it back on to drive back home. So let's go ahead and take it for a drive. have it. A little ride along in a 55 Chevy Belair, 400 small block Chevrolet engine, 4-speed transmission. Hope you enjoy the video.